In the meantime, there were a number of key battles going on yesterday. Of course, not only the president's illegal difficulties, but what was going on in Chicago, where the mayor that was going to crack down on crime, well, that particular guy wasn't elected, but the progressive Brandon Johnson was. Not saying that he was pro-crime, but he was more education and related funding than anything having to do with addressing the crime situation here. That might be a worry for Gianno Caldwell, who joins us right now. Gianno, this was not the candidate you wanted to win. You thought that the other candidate in this race, Paul Vallas, would do more to address the violence that sadly claimed your brother's life. It was not to be. I'm wondering what you make of what Chicagoans decided to do, albeit a very close election.
Well, Neil, you know the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I got to tell you, the horrific result we saw with the election of Brandon Johnson, to me, was the signing of thousands of death certificates of people who don't have to die because of the policies in which he's advocated for. This is a guy who's defunded the police, who's advocated for that, who's defended rioters and looters, who's not thought about public safety, who the police department, the police union rather, has said that multiple police officers would resign with his election at stake. You know, when we think about what Mayor Lori Lightfoot has done, I think across the spectrum, Democrats and Republicans have all agreed that her leadership was horrific. Brandon Johnson stands to be worse than her. What we see is 1 out of 20 black students within the city of Chicago can't do math at their grade level. Violent crime up 62%. Overall crime up. Almost every category of crime up. And we got a guy here who's talking about preventative measures to prevent people from committing crime, which is admirable. That's great, but that's not the only thing. There are people who will not capitulate to taking on policy that would prevent them from committing crime. They're going to commit crime no matter what. So what do you do with those folks who can't be rehabilitated? You have to lock them away. In some cases, you have to throw away the key. And this individual, Brandon Johnson, doesn't seem to be a person who would want to do that. My baby brother Christian right now is kicking in his grave at the election of Brandon Johnson. And there's so many other victims of violent crime who are doing the same. What the hell were you thinking, Chicago? I don't understand. You got crime that is being committed all over the city of Chicago, not the south sides and west sides of Chicago only, which is where it historically has been, but in downtown. Our businesses have left. You talk about Citadel. You talk about a number of other corporations who have cited crime as their reason for leaving. I can only imagine there's going to be many more when Brandon Johnson takes office and he begins to implement his horrific policy when it comes to crime.
He, meanwhile, is going to raise taxes on major corporations, many of whom have fled already in the wave of crime and high taxes to begin with. He did mention he's going to be looking at crime, addressing it. It was not his lead item in his victory speech last night. We have reached out to his office, have not heard back, by the way. But could he surprise you? Do you think there's anything there that could surprise you, Gianno?
I think if he would have said and absolutely unequivocally said, hey, I am going to be for crime victims. I'm going to figure out how to work around Ken Fox's office who refuses to prosecute crimes, then maybe there would be an ounce of hope within my heart that maybe we can see some surprises. But that wasn't the case. He said that Ken Fox operated with enormous integrity. This is the same person who dropped all charges on the Jussie Smollett hoax. This is the same person who's dropped 25,000 felony cases, including rape and murder. This is the same person who victims have called out time and time again, including those who voted for her. So the fact that he was praising Ken Fox tells me that there's not much hope to be had. Now, I can pray and wish all that I want, but the facts are simply that. This man ran as a progressive. He was supported by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and many other individuals. And he is a person who will be soft on crime. So, Neil, this is what we have, and the only hope is for other individuals to come up and prevent him from pushing his agenda, and that's with the city council.
We'll watch closely, Gianno. Thank you very much, my friend. Gianno Caldwell on those developments.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.